on two destroyers at once?
Oh yeah, oh god, yeah. What this ship would do is refuel destroyers. Because it had so much oil on it, over 1.5 million gallons of oil. I can show you a picture of a destroyer on either side of this ship picking up fuel. They would refuel from this ship. In other words, they pump the oil from this ship into the destroyers.
Oh, yeah.
The destroyers weren't fast. This was a very fast ship. The ship would keep up with destroyers. See if I can find that picture real quick where she's refueling. And that was one of her main duties. And the crew on the destroyers were so happy to get refueled that they used to send pies back to the ship here. They'd send 100, 200 pies to the guys on the ship for a thanks. Sometimes they'd send ice cream too. We used to get ice cream a lot. But the ships would refuel each other out at sea.
Did they produce their own oil?
Huh?
Did they produce their own oil? Like
No.
the oil?
No, they had to go to a port to get oil. If you see in this picture here, there's a puff of smoke. You see that smoke? Right there? That's not from the guns firing. After the guns fired, this is what they look like when they fire. There's a lot of fire there. They take this bullet that was 5 feet 9 inches high. It weighed 2,700 pounds, and they put it in up here. Then they take 650 pounds of gunpowder and put behind that. And that gunpowder was in 110-pound bags. And the bags were made out of silk. So after they fired this thing and they had all that fire coming out of it, they had to blow out any ashes or anything that was left in it. And that's what that little white puff there is. That's where the air is pushing out any gases that are left in there. Because if there was something smoldering and they put in gunpowder in there, they get a big bang out of it.
Yeah, that would just destroy their whole gun.
Yeah, it would make a miserable day, that's for sure. So all the bullets and all the gunpowder for these were way down here in the bottom. And they had an elevator that would bring the bullets up inside the gun there, and then they would load it. And it took 77 men to operate just one of these guns. 77. So you can see it was a lot of work back then. And you know how heavy steel is?
Mm-hmm.
The sides of this ship were 11 inches thick, solid steel. The front and sides of these guns were 17 inches thick, solid steel. I don't know if you can understand this or not. This ship weighed 60,000 tons. That would be 30,000 automobiles.
Oh!
So it was pretty heavy.
How many pounds?
Huh?
How many pounds?
I don't know. That's 60,000 tons. So you'd have to divide that by 2,000 pounds. So it's a lot. Now, when the guys had to sleep on this ship, there were so many of them. You know what bunk beds are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they go 4 high. They wouldn't go too high. They go 4 high.
I've seen many of those before.
You've seen them before? So it was kind of real tight quarters when we were aboard ship because you didn't have any room for anything. We didn't have bureaus. We had what you call a sea bag, and we lived out of that. That and your little bunk that you had. The Marines that were on these ships used to sleep way up here in the bow. And one day when they let the anchor out of the ship, I almost jumped overboard because I never heard a chain going through the steel so loud in my life. I was sleeping down below deck, and that chain running through that steel made an awful noise. It scared me bad. The food on those ships were pretty good. You didn't get fresh food all the time, but we did eat pretty good. Then in 1945, on September 2nd, luckily Japan surrendered, and they surrendered on the Missouri. That's where the World War ended. And I got a picture of it here on that deck. This is when they surrendered in World War II. You can see all the guys on the ship trying to get pictures. The Japanese were down here signing an unconditional surrender to the United States.
Well, that is a lot.
Yeah. see by the size of the guys that are on here, okay? They're standing here. So you can see how big this was if there's a guy standing, he's only that high. So if you had to run from one end of this ship to the other, it was a long ways, believe me. Do you have any questions about it? What?
How